Good morning, everyone, and welcome to SUR120, which is Principles and Practice of Surgical Technology. So in this class, we're going to continue to dig a little bit deeper into the profession and into the skills that will make you a successful certified surgical technologist. So we are excited to work with you in this class. There are a lot of additional skills that we're going to be learning and practicing, and it's going to be super fun. So here we are on the landing page, and we're just going to start with the course syllabus tab. And as usual, under the course syllabus tab, I have included for you the syllabus for the class, which is the very top item right here. And the syllabus is a good resource for you as far as the learning objectives that are associated with the class. So you can go ahead and pull that up and just scroll to the very end of the syllabus, and it will outline all of the things that we'll be learning in this class. And that's how we build the class, is we look at the learning objectives and then we design the class content from that. So that's a good resource for you. The second one is the lesson plan. And that mirrors the content in Blackboard as far as the weeks go. So that's also a good thing for you to maybe print out, and it gives our day-to-day activities, the homework, the pointage, how many assignments are associated with each activity that we're going to be doing in class. And so I like to use my lesson plan in my own classes as a checklist just to keep me on task. So that is there for you. And then lastly is just the course policies. So the course policies have not changed. Your PPS points are still 150 points of your cumulative grade, and that is something that we will track for you. If you look in the comments section in your grade book for your PPS, if you notice that it no longer says 150 because you start out with 150, in the comments area it will say what the situation is that caused the points to be deducted, so you can check there. As far as the examination quiz makeup policy, again, if you're absent on the day of an examination or a quiz or something that is going on in the lab, all right, where we have all of these skills, competency check-offs. So if you miss one of those, it is imperative that you work with us as your instructors so that you can make that up on the first day that you are back, whether it's an exam or some sort of lab competency. Okay? There will be a 10% deduction in your overall grade if you do miss an exam or if you miss a lab. In regards to written assignments, projects, and presentations, if your assignment is submitted past the due date, that's an automatic 10% deduction. If it's submitted 2 days past the due date, then it is a 20% deduction. And if it's submitted anytime thereafter, you will receive a 0 for that assignment. Plagiarism. Again, remember, your own work is the best work. When we take somebody else's work and we use their words and we don't give credit to it, that is considered plagiarism, and plagiarism is not tolerated by the institution. It is also a federal crime. So we want to make sure we're using our own words and we're giving credit to the source that we used to find that information, okay? And then lastly is the breakdown of the grading policy, which is the same. To get an A in the class, you need at least a 93%. A B falls between an 85 and a 92. A C is 77% to 84%, and anything below a 77% is failing the class. Okay, if you are a no-call, no-show, you will receive deductions on your PPS not only for being absent, but also for not communicating with one of us. Also, if you miss an activity that is an in-class activity that has points associated with it, you will also miss out on those points as well as your attendance. So really important to just be there on time, and communicate with us if something happens so that we know that you're okay. I think that covers the syllabus tab. So now we're going to go to the course content, and I'm just going to run through the course content, then we will go back and revisit things in detail. At the very top, I've included the lab skill checkoffs for this class. You can see that the first one is opening sterile supplies. So we will practice opening the back table, the basin, an instrument set, some peel packages, some wrapped items onto the field. That's going to be our first step. All right, we try to put these in order of how we would do them in a case or in a regular mock procedure so that you get a feel of the flow of things. So that first thing is going to be learning how to open sterile supplies. The second thing we will be doing is a surgical scrub, and then we will be learning how to gown and glove ourselves. Also, setting up the Mayo stand and the back table, as well as performing a surgical count of our disposable supplies, sponges, sutures, blades, those kinds of things. All right, just a preoperative count. Okay. Then we will finish up with gowning and gloving a team member. So that will be your instructor will be posing as the surgeon, and you will practice gowning and gloving them. And then we will practice the waterless scrub. All right. So after we practice all of those things, then you will have a final competency where you will have to demonstrate your skills that I just described in numbers 1 through 7. So we'll learn the individual dance steps, and then we'll put the dance together. The next item on the list is our project. So for your project, you're going to be making a Google Slides presentation. Now, this should be a lot of a review for you because we did go into great detail about our principles of aseptic technique or principles and practices when we were in microbiology class. So this should be a good review. In your textbook on page 149 is where you can find those. Make sure you change the setting for your Google Slide access so that the instructor is able to view your presentation. And it must be a minimum of 16 slides. There are a minimum of 16 principles of aseptic technique that are outlined in your textbook. So that's a really great resource for you. The Association of Surgical Technology at ast.org is also going to be a fantastic resource for you. Remember, in microbiology, we looked at the AST website, and it also outlines the roles and responsibilities of the surg tech, so that might be a good resource for you as well. After you title your slide with the principle, then you're going to want to identify a specific break-in technique that's associated with that principle on the same slide, and then you're going to provide the steps for corrective action that you would need to take if that break-in sterile technique was encountered, whether it's yourself or a team member, okay? Do not use the examples that are provided in the text. Stretch yourself, tweak it a little bit into a different situation, right? There are always going to be breaks in technique. We're not perfect. So in the beginning, there's going to be more. But as we gain a competency in our skills and in our application of the principles of aseptic technique, the breaks should go down, right? The number of times should be reduced. So my point is that breaks are going to happen. Most importantly, we need to be able to recognize them and fix them. Okay, and that's the what's in it for you, the WIFM, I call it, what's in it for me. So the what's in it for you is that we need to get into the practice of recognizing and knowing how to fix a break-in technique. So this is going to help us hone that skill. So I provided an example for you. The title slide might be something like sterile surfaces only contact sterile surfaces and non-sterile surfaces only contact non-sterile surfaces. The specific break could be something such as the surgeon's hat touched the sterile light handle, right? We put the light handle above us and the big OR light. And so sometimes the bouffant touches the light handle and it becomes contaminated. Okay, so in that situation, how are you going to fix it? In your steps, you want to be very specific and you want to be detailed. You want to verbalize, in this situation, to the surgeon that the hat contaminated the light handle. That's the first step. You're going to ask the circulator to remove the contaminated light handle because if you touch it, you're going to become contaminated. Circulator isn't sterile. So we're going to ask the circulator to pull the light away from the field, unscrew the light handle, push the light back over the field, and then open us a new, fresh, bright, shiny, sterile light handle, and then we will replace it, and that would be that. All right? If you can include some images, maybe a video, I don't know. Be as creative as you would like. That's perfectly fine. All right, so that is the project. If you click into the project, let me just do that now. There is 100 points associated with the project. It's due on May 12th, and there is also a rubric. So if you click right here, view rubric, that's going to take you to the criteria for formatting, content, accuracy, and timeliness. So in the proficient column, it tells you what you would need to get 100%. And then competent, 50%, and novice, no points at all. So you can use this as your guide. Okay, we're going to go out of here. And let's just look at the weekly content. So this class starts today on Friday that you're watching this. 2 hours is devoted to this class on Friday. So your responsibility is to watch this ed puzzle and go ahead and do that. And that needs to be completed by midnight tonight. On Monday, you are going to have a Zoom with Mrs. Fisher that starts at 1 p.m. and goes to 5 p.m. You will start covering Chapter 9, the Principles and Practice of Aseptic Technique, which again should be a lot of review for you. And then you're going to start digging into Chapter 3 in your instrument book, which is general instruments. So over the course of a couple weeks, you'll be learning those instruments as well, and then we'll be looking at them in the lab and practicing with them and handling them in the lab so that you'll get a sense of what they look like other than just an image in your textbook. The homework will be the Chapter 9 study guide, and then on Tuesday, you're going to finish up the Principles and Practices chapter, go over a few more instruments in Chapter 3, and complete a post test. So you'll finish up your Zoom at 4:30, and then you'll have that last half hour to finish the post test if you choose. However, if it works out better for you, you do have until midnight to finish the post tests. Wednesday is going to be the same format as we start week 12. We're going to talk about Chapter 10, which is decontamination, sterilization, and disinfection, and continue to review instruments. And your Chapter 10 study guide will be due at the start of class. Thursday is another synchronous day where you'll have a Zoom meeting with Mrs. Fisher to finish up Chapter 10. You'll also continue to review some more instruments, and because you finished up Chapter 10, you will have your post-test. No homework on Thursday. However, don't rest on your laurels. Review the information that you went over in class, review your instruments, continue to study, and hone your craft. Friday. Again, another synchronous day with a Zoom meeting with Mrs. Fisher to begin talking about surgical instruments, which is Chapter 11. And then you'll continue to review some instruments in Chapter 3 of your instrument textbook. On this day, Friday of week 12, that is when your initial post for your threaded discussion is due. There's one threaded discussion in this class. It is worth 35 points. Your Chapter 11 study guide is also due. On Monday, we have another synchronous Zoom meeting to finish up Chapter 11, review some more instruments, and then you will finish up your Zoom at 4:30 so that you can complete your post-test. Again, you can use the 4:30 to 5 time slot to complete that. However, you will have up to midnight to complete it if that is more convenient for you. Finishing up week 12 on Tuesday, you will begin discussing Chapter 14, which is post-anesthesia recovery. You'll also learn some more general instruments or work with those in some way, and your Chapter 14 study guide will be due at the beginning of class. Now, moving into week 13, we're going to finish up on Wednesday Chapter 14, which is post-anesthesia recovery. Again, continuing with our instruments, and then you will have that post-test. On Thursday, we begin discussion on Chapter 20, which is case planning and intraoperative routines, more instruments, and your Chapter 20 study guide is due at the beginning of class. On Friday, you will finish up Chapter 20 and you will have your post-test. On Monday, we will start the last chapter of content that is in this class, and that is management of the surgical wound, Chapter 21. Get a jump on this chapter. This chapter is jam-packed with so much good information about wound care, dressings, wound healing, suture techniques, suture materials, suture needles, tons of stuff. So get in there and start reviewing before you have your Zoom so that you'll have a better understanding of the content as it's delivered. On that Monday, your Chapter 21 study guide is due. And then on Tuesday, you're going to finish up your synchronous meetings with Mrs. Fisher and finish up Chapter 1. Finish up General Instrument Chapter if it's not finished up already, but do a review perhaps. And then your Chapter 21 post-test will be due by midnight that night. Now, here's where it gets really exciting, because the beginning of week 14 is when you will begin coming to campus to do your labs for this class. And again, like I discussed, we're going to practice opening sterile supplies. We'll learn to surgical scrub and gown and glove ourselves, set up the Mayo stand and the back table, perform a surgical count, gown and glove a team member, and then that will take us to the end of the week where we begin our final competencies. You will be divided into into 3 groups, and you will work with that instructor to complete your competencies, and we will have an order already predetermined for you. During week 14 on Friday is when your peer responses are due for your threaded discussion. Now, in the last week, week 15, we're going to finish up our final competencies on Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, we're going to do our waterless scrub, and you're going to have your first real instrument test on campus. So what is this going to look like? Well, what we will do is have the instruments laid out on tables in either the lab or the classroom, and you will come in and you will have a sheet, and you will get to pick up, look, touch at the instrument, and you'll need to write down what the instrument's name is. It's very important that you're very specific when you write down the name. If it's a cryo, you want to indicate if it's straight or curved and what type of instrument it is, all right? Like a forceps or a retractor or something of that sort, okay? And we'll talk more about this as we get closer to the instrument exam. All right, so that will be on Friday, and then we have the potluck on Friday. So we'll finish up with a waterless scrub and instrument test, and then we will eat some food together. It will be awesome. Monday will be an asynchronous exam review, and then Tuesday you will complete your student satisfaction survey and take your final exam. That will need to be started by 2 o'clock. So it will open at 1:30. The window for access to the exam will close at 2 p.m. So if you have not accessed it by 2 p.m. and you have to reach out to your instructor to say, hey, I missed the window, you will receive an automatic 10% deduction on your exam. So make sure that you're accessing it in that window so that it is completed in a timely manner. And then we have our semester break. So our semester break starts on the 19th, which is Wednesday, and goes to that next Tuesday, which is 5/25. And then we are back at it on 5/26. That will be SUR200 for you, which is pharmacology. There is a lab component in the pharmacology class. I'm not sure what the pharmacology class is going to look like yet. There is a good chance that it will follow the same format where we have our lecture component up front and then we have our lab component to follow that. So stay tuned for that information. All right, so I'm just going to go back up to the top here. We'll click in to each week and we'll look at the content. So when you click on the content for the week, or the title for the week, then you're going to see two folders, assignment folder and a resource folder. So we're going to go into the assignment folder. Here is where you will access your Edpuzzle. All right. And then your Chapter 9 study guide. You know how to submit that. We've done that plenty of times. And then you have the post test. So week 11, pretty straightforward. In week 12 is one additional new thing is the threaded discussion post. So when you go into the assignments, threaded discussion post is here, and here is the new grading criteria that I was telling you about. So in order to demonstrate proficiency, we're looking at 4 areas of content, timeliness, writing, and participation. Your initial post is going to be need to be a minimum of 3 paragraphs, so we've beefed this up quite a bit. And you need to have a minimum of 5 sentences in each paragraph. Your peer responses need to be a minimum of 1 paragraph, which is 5 sentences minimum. All of your posts need to demonstrate an advanced understanding of the concepts, and viewpoints in your initial posts are required to be supported by research. That means there needs to be a reference, and for every reference, an in-text citation where you talk about that information from that resource. Timeliness. All posts need to be completed on time for you to get full points. Writing criteria. Your peer responses need to have a greeting and a salutation. Miss Windsor, comma, blah, 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 thank you, so-and-so. Okay? So for every peer response, you're greeting them, you're telling them what you need to tell them, and then you're signing off with your name. In addition to that, APA format needs to be correctly applied to all your posts to avoid plagiarism. This is the in-text citations that I was talking about, as well as the references. If you use a direct quote, which is you're taking the words verbatim, in your in-text citation, you also need to include a page number of where you got that quote. Spelling and grammar is also an important component of this, as well as we set a maximum of 1 direct quote per post. That's it, 1 direct quote. If you are taking a direct quote that is 5 sentences and it's your entire paragraph, you will not get full points for that. Lastly, participation. You want to make sure that you complete that initial post and you complete it on time, that you respond to 2 peers, and that your initial post is accurate in addressing the threaded discussion topic. So let's see what our threaded discussion topic is. We'll go ahead and click into here. When you click into here, because it doesn't show anything, click on Create Thread. All right, and then you'll be able to view the question. Okay, and then you can post your initial post and you're off to the races. All right, let's go back. That's not the kind of back I wanted here. Let me click on course content again. Okay. All right, so that's the only kind of change for week 12, I guess. In week 13, it's the same stuff. I don't think we really need to dig into that at all. You can click around in there. It's set up the same way. In week 14 is your response to your 2 peers, but you would get to that just by clicking in here, clicking on your assignment folder, and then clicking on the title to go ahead and complete those peer responses. All right, and then in week 15, pretty much the same stuff. Your exam and your student satisfaction survey, you will access those through the week 15 title. Okay, I think that about covers it. I hope that this was a helpful review for you. We had a fun time putting this together and really thinking about what you guys need and what will be helpful for you to help you hone your craft and bring in some additional study skills. Oh, there is one other thing. No, I guess we're okay. What I was going to say is in week 15, we have that asynchronous review, so you won't be in class. The asynchronous review is going to help you review for the exam in 3 different ways by creating 3 different study tools. So I'm excited about that. It'll get you reviewing the material for the class and also maybe introduce you to a new study tool. So something to look forward to. Okay, I think I'm really done now. I'm looking forward to being a part of this class with you, as is Mrs. Fisher. We are co-teaching this together, so you might see both of us poking around in here or grading things or posting announcements. So please let us know if you have any questions. Mrs. Fisher is the lead instructor on this course, so she will be your first resource. The one other thing that we need to do is post the Zoom link, and so we'll go ahead and do that, and then you can find it at the top of the course content when the time comes. All right, that's it. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day. We look forward to seeing you in class.